Will it start? Okay, I got me a Onan 4000 Microlite. It's a 1999 model. Won't start. Started fine about 6 months ago. I'd always exercised the generator regularly, but I let it go over the summer, 5 months. I didn't think that was too long, but apparently it was. So now here's my scenario. I can hit the start button and it'll crank and crank and crank, but it won't start. When I hit the prime side, the stop button, when it's off, I don't hear the fuel pump pumping. I've heard on other videos I can hear that it's supposed to pump. I even called Onan and they said, yeah, it's supposed to pump. So it's weird because on prime, nothing. If I hit the start button, I'm getting fuel because I pulled the fuel line off and I checked. Took the fuel line off, stuck it in the container, hit prime, nothing. Crank the engine, I'm getting fuel. So I can't find anybody that's had this exact problem online. I'm just trying to figure this out myself at this point, and I'm tearing into things. So I'll show you where I'm at with it. It sounds like a fuel pump to me. I want to take the fuel pump out and test it, and I'm thinking it might be the switch. It's the two things I'm thinking it might be at this point. So anyway, here's where I'm at. So I've got this old rocker switch. You know, this doesn't have the lighted one that gives you the error codes. So I got that horrendous thing out. Boy, it's a pain. And I'm gonna take this pump out and test it. So I think I'm gonna try to test this thing without removing it. There's the positive, and then the negative goes to this little hub down here. Now I haven't checked it. I checked it a couple days ago and it was 12 volts. So that should power this. So I'm getting nothing. It's telling me it's a bad pump. However, when all this was hooked up and everything was intact, when I hit start, the engine cranks and I get fuel. I disconnect the house battery, disconnect the fuel pump terminals, stick those to another 12 volt battery separate, I get nothing. What does that mean? Now I'm not getting nothing. Thinking it's the pump. Alright, here it is. It's like everybody else's. Got a grommet, got my fuel line. Now, unlike most of the videos I've seen, my fuel line is rigid. And I can't crimp it to stop the fuel. Okay, just quick note, when I pulled mine out, I didn't get a bunch of gushing fuel, it just dripped. So, catch some of that. So, I think that's all it's got to come out right now, and then this thing should slide out. Alright. Came right out. Now I can look at the model number and make sure I order the right thing. This part that goes in first. This bottom piece. And I gotta get this back in there, this octopus. I went with the cheapo. I figured the price of the two filters made it worth it. If this thing just runs for a half hour and then craps out, at least I got a diagnosis. And this way, but then getting it turned was a problem. It don't like that. Wow. Yeah, it's a pain. Well, it's in, but not seated. So, do I just test it before I got this screwed down and just see, you know, if I've got life? I'm thinking so. Okay, I got everything connected except the tray isn't installed, so it's gonna jiggle. You know how these things jiggle. I got my switches back on, so now it's time to go connect battery, and then I'll come back and inspect before I turn it over. Okay, battery's reconnected. Okay. So this should prime. I should hear the pump on. I'm going to power this pump using power coming in. Listen. Hear it? I can hear it. It's pumping. So now what I'm going to do, see if it's actually pumping fuel. It's out of the way. Even if it gets all over the place. Oh, there it is. I got fuel. So, let's get the fuel line back on. Nice. Snuggy. And see if I can prime this thing. Okay. I know there's fuel in that carburetor. Okay, I don't know. I've checked my spark. I actually physically saw a spark. I did a spark test. I physically got fuel. I've got spark. I put a new spark plug in it. I got fuel going. I got fuel and spark. I did get this thing to kick over up 3 or 4 times. I never caught it on camera though, but I got it to it starts and then it dies every time if I can get it started. And I tried different ways of priming it. So all I can think of now is it's either bad gas or it's the carburetor. And I don't think it's bad gas because I just put a bunch of gas in this a couple weeks ago. So I'm inclined to think so. According to the YouTube community, this carburetor's got 2 parts, and you can take the bottom, the bowl out, and that's what you're supposed to clean apparently. I'd like to clean the whole carb, but I'm going to try this first before I actually take the carburetor out and see what it looks like and see what I can do, try to get it back in. Okay. I cracked this guy and I started leaking fuel. My splash guard is off of this, so I'm gonna try to see if I can just drain this fuel out the old-fashioned way. It is. Let's go back in. How do you keep turning it? So it's loose. And this should come out. And there she is. And there's that little pin in there. I guess that's the problem. It's hard to get that clean. There's a little debris in there, but there's the float. I don't know what else to do but to spray that out and soak it a little bit. And then this comes apart too. Clean up in there. It's apparently these two come apart. That's January 15th, 2023. It's the wild card weekend. I'm missing the game. Ooh, that's tight. Wow, that's real tight. Ooh, that's tight. Alright. I'm going to tighten this up again. They say that this little ring right here, don't forget it. So, it's right there. And I got just a little bit of carb cleaner left. I'm gonna soak that. I finally got this thing to break free. It's so gunky in there. It's like jelly, like honey. I saw some dudes connecting this up with 12 volts, and apparently you can hear it clicking in here. I guess there's a solenoid or a switch or something in there. Nothing. Wait a minute. Alright, this thing, I think, is supposed to have something in it, like this pin that goes back and forth. I've seen it on other videos. And this did not come with that. So I had no choice but to order a replacement. Moment of truth here. Look at there. That's the part that's not in here. That is a is incredible. This did not have this. So my question is, was this old one, is it supposed to be like this? Or was it running without that little plunger that goes in there? I mean, it's got a little spring in it. It comes out. It could have easily fell out, but I looked at my original footage of me cracking this old one open. I mean, I caught that on film, and there was no plunger. So, man, I'm just gonna go put this in and see what happens. All right, before I do anything, I noticed on the inside of this bowl, if you flip it over, there is a little port back here for that altitude adjuster. It does look a little dirty in there, so I sprayed a little carb cleaner in there. I'm just gonna hit this real quick. And mustn't forget the little tiny washer. Doesn't seem like it. Doesn't even seem like that fits right. I guess that goes there. And that's going to screw into something up inside the float somewhere. Yeah, there's a hole there with some threading in it. So I'm going to get it started, because it might take a little jimmying. I got it started. When you're turning this thing, these wires twist real good. You got to kind of untwist them as you go. Be careful, but they call it the impossible connector. That positive lead. And what a lot of people are doing is, when they got this all out, is they're making a pigtail. And I'm sitting here wondering if I should do the same. I'm just anxious to test it though, because once I can get this on there, this goes down here. Once I get that on there, I'll tighten this. So that looks like a bit of a challenge. Okay, not impossible. You can get your hand back there and get this to connect. Alrighty then. Everything's on. Solenoid's on. Leads are on. The only caveat right now is my prime switch doesn't prime. So I'm jumping from this positive terminal to the pump. I'm priming it that way. Okay, got a little priming going. Will it start? It's a little surgy. Okay, but it's running. Stabilizing. It started. I'm just gonna sit down and kind of watch it while it's running for leaks and stuff, but I'll let it run a while and I'll get back to you. Wow, what a victory. That shocked me. I ran it for probably 10 minutes, no load. I'm not getting any power into the coach from the generator. I'm plugged into the generator outlet. The generator breaker is on, but no power inside. I don't even care about that right now. I'm just gonna let it rest for a while and start it again and see if it starts right up again, and then start troubleshooting the whole power issue. But at this particular moment in time, the whole problem, I guess, was a bad carburetor fuel solenoid, whatever they're called. It was inexpensive. Replacement parts for these, they could be astronomical, but it was affordable, so I got it. My question is, this thing ran just fine with the old one up until recently, and that doesn't have that little pin in it. So, question marks. I don't get it, but right now I don't care. It runs beautiful.